and welcome to Monday here on Encounter Roleplay, which means we are playing the Crownlands, which is our Song of Ice and Fire / Sword Chronicle game. Wonderful Green Ronin just recently released that update, and I'm slowly dragging in bits and pieces of it, because the cool thing about the, I'm going to unkindly call it generifying of the fantasy setting, is that we get magic, which means I have mechanics for magic now. Additional magic, not just green sight and warging, although I'm always a fan of wargs. Someone I am also always a fan of, and I am super excited that we finally got her back. That's the wonderful Amelia Tyler. Hi!
Yay! I am back with my family. How are you all? I have missed you. It's been weird. I've loved watching what you've been up to. I think Tyler needs to have words with a few people. But well done. How many horses have you sold, Astor? Any?
All of them? Okay.
All of them. All of them. In exchange for, have you picked up any other fillies along the way? I think we need to have a chat.
I
about
agree.
last week. I don't know. I walk away for 5 minutes and it's fucking heads in barrels and someone's marrying a will. It's gone wrong.
Well,
but I'm so glad to be back again.
Where there's a will, there's a way, Millie. You know, where there's a will, there's a way.
Puns do not a good marriage make.
I want to call off the wedding already just because of this pun. It's not happening anymore.
Yes.
Let's go and say hello to the lovely Shauna, who did all of the wonderful character art you can see on screen, as well as the additional pieces that you can find over on our world Anvil. Hi, Shauna. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm happy we have everyone here together, and we're gonna have probably more spooky stuff. That previous mention magic certainly will not affect our side of things. Certainly not. Also, penultimate episode, nothing bad happened, so I'm all set. Doing good things. Good things today.
Good stuff indeed, and only good things coming to Astor, who got royally roasted in the comments on YouTube this week.
What?
Do you feel
No,
like
I
you're
didn't
getting
see
ahead?
that.
Well, you said that you were going to get ahead, and then promptly you were delivered ahead. So,
I see.
hmm.
Oh no. Charlie, I was so happy that we finally have everyone together, and then you tell me out of the blue that I got roasted in the comments. What a mood killer. What am I gonna do now?
Aw.
Can I continue to deny the truth?
Here comes the emotional manipulation right out of the
Wow.
gate.
All right,
You're
this is
learning
gonna
from
be a good
Allegra.
episode. I feel this is gonna be a very good episode.
Finally.
We were starting strong, folks. We're starting strong.
We are starting strong. But Astor, not in the worst position. He had a great week with Bellamy. He has a wife potentially in the making. You know, he's friends with her brother. I'm sure that's not a problem. And, you know, he's
No,
got the helpful
definitely not.
maid Ellen hanging out with him.
She seems to
And
be
now Allegra's back.
too helpful. Look, I just want Allegra to successfully convince Astor that this is a bad idea, but let's see how that works out. Susie, I'm counting on you.
Speaking of bad ideas and bastards, Jaime, played by Sam.
Wow. Okay, thanks. Bye now.
See, I just feel safe because we're currently on mid-season break, and after the fire, my safety level drops rapidly when that break finishes.
Thanks. Thank you very much. But you know, yeah, I suppose it's inverted, and I'm pretty terrified of what magical mechanics you're going to deploy on us. But I am excited to see if we get any answers, and if we find Millie. Just, you know, I'm here for that. We'll probably won't. It's Game of Thrones. We'll probably die in a ditch somewhere. But whatever, it's fine.
It will be the finest, muddiest ditch in all of Westeros.
I'm good with
It'll be a
finest.
good time.
That's fine.
The finest. It's fine.
Finest.
I mean,
This is
technically, Sam,
funniest.
all of this is your fault. You're the one that started this whole Game of Thrones campaign thing. And now it's grown into a monster that no one can control.
I know. It's good. I'm enjoying it.
Right. Everyone, keep an eye out for stream cats today. I am super excited for the potential appearance of Sophia or Morello. They're usually around. So keep an eye out for them.
I don't know. They did just go to the vets and vaccines, so I don't know if they've forgiven us quite yet. So they're moping around somewhere. Yeah.
Speaking of moping around somewhere, Susanna Grace, how you doing?
Wow!
Speaking of needing vaccines was my other option, alright? What did you want me to say?
There's a couple of points there where you were talking to Sam. I was like, is this where a segue's coming? Is this? No. And I get that one. Wonderful. Great. So happy to be here with my best friend and my other friends playing some Game of Thrones. I'm very, very happy that Millie is back and that she's instantly started giving Nuno/Astor shit as he deserves. Astor cannot get a break from his sisters, and I am about it. But I can't wait to slap some sense into that fucking idiot today, because there is no way in hell is my brother marrying that woman. I swear to God, I will kill them both before I allow a wedding to happen.
There are some opinions going on. Lydia, welcome back to this.
Oh, I got a normal one. Sorry. Hi. Favoritism.
Hi.
You see that shit?
I mean, Lydia is our star guest today, so we've got to be nice to Lydia. Welcome back to everyone. Madness.
And I'm very happy to be back and to have a little bit of a glimpse inside the maniacal machinations of this menagerie of fucking weirdos. It's great. I couldn't think of another M word, but it's it's hilarious. Hi, I'm looking forward to whatever happens at the lake today and whatever Anatha is going to do with Adeline, with perhaps Jaime, with perhaps Tarla. It's going to be gearing up to a really, really interesting season finale here.
Lest we not forget Sir Tim, of course. Greatest of all squires.
Yes, exactly. That person. I think Anatha is just very confused by his presence, to be perfectly honest.
He was not part of the plan, but Tim is here. Other people are here as well. Thank you so much to chat who have already helped us reach our sub goal. This is going to unlock an additional event that our players will have to deal with in their journeying through Westeros, its political and geographical landscapes. And I would like to also shout out, while I am shouting out, of course, our sponsors. Shout out to Helmgas, who sponsored Cult Divinity Lost and also produced that game. It's a beautiful game, lots of artwork and lots of darkness. If you like modern horror, give it a check out. It runs on the Powered by the Apocalypse system, but it's D10s instead of D6s. And we have a killer episode coming up on Wednesday. I know what day it's on. Wednesday from 6 to 9. We have a special guest coming in. We might have some more found footage. And also, you can leave a message for the characters of that game over in our Discord right now. That is available until Wednesday, when I'll be closing that off. That's a special unlock that chat unlocked on Wednesday last week. Also coming up, and also our wonderful sponsors, Modifius, we have Star Trek Adventures, the Klingon core book, fueling our Sword of Kalis campaign. The core book is everything you need to play this game. That's the cool thing. It can be used as a supplement, but also it's its own little thing, which I think is super cool. And the Klingons are one of my favorite races. I once made my GM let me have a Batleth in D&D because they're really cool. I don't care what anyone says. They're very cool. So check that out. That is on Thursday from 6 to 9 as well. Kapla! I don't have a Klingon hand sign, so I have to couple it with the Vulcan one, alright? That's all I got. Check that out. Also go and check out everything else Modifius is producing. There's the wonderful Dishonored book that we got to play, as well as things like Tales from the Loop, Black and other things that they distribute. There's a whole host of things coming up. Whisperings about June and Fallout. I'm waiting for more news to break. But speaking of things breaking, why don't we get to today's game? and the wonderful family known as House Tremaine. Jaime, at the end of last session, you were drunk as a skunk, and then drugged by a mysterious woman in the dark, whilst Adeline was inside the Wood Witch Anita's hut. The last thing you remember was being moved from your horse and into the back of the cart. But it's a dull and vague memory. Sleep was rather relieving. Allegra, you are on a ship crossing the bay to Belsey Castle. The day has gone long as preparations have taken some time, and sleep is catching up to you, your body, mind, and heart weary. The question, is Yanis alive or dead? Still not truly resolved, but he has to be alive. And Astor, you had a week. It was a long time, and now you bear the head of your uncle in this crossing, a grim delivery for your cousins, the Bywaters at Belsey. All three of the Tremaine siblings are asleep. And Tala, you've been practicing. It's been a long, long time. At least that's how it feels. But you have powers now. And it's time to practice. Just a little more. And Millie, I'm going to hand over to you as I present to you 3 minds in which to wander.
Ooh. So first off, I'll be pushing through what feels like a veil of smoke and sort of washing my hands through it. And I can't make out Allegra's face. I can see pieces, almost like I'm catching it in the reflection in a pool of her eye, her hand, her laughing. And I try to focus in on those little fragments of her and bring them all together. It's difficult. It's like shaping liquid almost. And there are parts of things I'm not sure if they're my thoughts or her thoughts. Images I'm not familiar with. A boat I've never seen. A man I've never met. And it's all tumbling in my head. It's hard to focus on what it is I'm seeing, but I try to just focus on that eye, that mouth, that hand, and pull it all together. And eventually it almost feels right. It feels like her. And I try to push through that veil a little further to see if she can hear me or I can see what she's doing. I want to know what she's thinking.
Millie, I'd like you to make a will test, if you will, please. And you can add empathy dice from cunning to this roll.
Ooh, okay. Oh no, that's a...
So for Tala, let me take a look for you.
Oh, that's
This
awareness,
will be-
isn't it? Empathy?
Yes. So you've got 4 will, and then your empathy is under your awareness. So it'll be 4 plus your empathy, and then you'll drop the empathy dice.
Okay, I'm just gonna add that as courage
Yeah,
just
so
for now
if
to
you-
make life simpler.
That's a great way of doing it.
Did that work? Mm,
Oh, it didn't
No.
pop yet. Give it another
Hmm.
click.
Mm-mm-mm. Hold on. Let me
That might
try
be
it
the
again.
pop-up box for bonus dice hiding behind your character
Okay.
sheet.
Is the pop-up not working? Okay, give me 2 seconds.
I just clicked it as
Mm-mm-mm.
well, actually, and it didn't work. Millie, do you have D6s on you? Anywhere nearby?
Somewhere. Oh, holy shit.
All right, take a look for those. I'm going to roll this first roll for Tala, but you're going to need about 8 D6s today, Millie.
Okey-dokey.
All right,
It's gonna be
so
nice.
Tala is rolling that many D6. 6, 11, 16, 18, 19 total against your intrigue defense, Susie.
My intrigue defense is 10, so that's 2 degrees.
All right, perfect. So Susie, Tala is a presence in Allegra's mind. It's something familiar. You can feel something familiar in this dream, and it's asking what you're thinking.
Allegra's thoughts are overwhelmingly of worry right now. But you can tell it's worry that's in a lot of directions. She's not just worried about one thing. She's worried about Yanis. She's worried about Danella. She's worried about herself, her child that she's carrying. She's worrying about Astor. She's worrying about Tala. She's worrying about her aunt, her cousins. She's just overwhelmingly just absorbing all of this just general worry about all her loved ones.
I think at that thought of her child, that is a surprise. And you almost feel a pressure on your stomach, like a memory of you lying together in the grass when you were kids, when you just found out how babies were made and that they grew inside your stomach, and the two of you listening to each other's stomachs to see if you could hear anything. And you catch a faint echo of Tala's laugh, and you feel around your hand this squeeze of reassurance. But then something catches and tumbles, and you kind of get that sick feeling like you've just missed a step. And you see the ground coming towards you very, very fast, like you've just fallen from your horse. And it all blurs, the smokiness, you can almost see that now, just for a second. And you get flashes of hands joining, of blood dripping on the ground. There's smoke everywhere now, and you can almost smell it, this sort of sage, incensey. Just for a second, it's overwhelming, and it makes your head swim, and then it clears slightly, but you still feel that pressure on your hand and on your stomach. And that laugh echoing. That feeling like it'll all be all right, in that very childlike, everything will be okay sense. It's overwhelmingly reassuring, just for a second.
I think as you put forth those things, you feel in response from Allegra a warmth and memories of Tala and Allegra when they were younger. And she's clearly reminiscing about happier times. And the time where she came back to Famine's Hold and saw you again, now a woman for the first time. And how much things had changed, but how much things hadn't.
I think in in that moment, you see overlaid images, almost like they're flickering, of Tala as she is now. And then the tiny version of her standing next to her, almost holding her hand. And those faces flash and shimmer, and you can't put your finger on why it feels wrong. But as you look around, there are more of you. You're suddenly in this round hut, and there are people all around, but all of them have Tala's face, but it's not quite right. It's almost like when you see your reflection in the mirror, and it's you, but it's reversed. There's something unsettling about it, like it doesn't quite work. And you feel that sicky feeling, that kind of, the smell is back, that overwhelming herbal, making your head feel like you can't quite focus on anything. And you get a brief image of stumbling out of this hut and being sick, of seeing your feet and watching your hand in the moonlight and laughing, and then stopping suddenly, not knowing why.
You definitely feel Allegra in her dream calling out for you, trying to reach out back to you. And that image of falling, stumbling, not knowing what, you feel like this protective urge just surge from Allegra.
That provokes a sob. One of those overwhelming ones where you've held it back for so long and it just comes up through your body almost like a cough. But then it tails off and it's giggling again. There's the smell of a dog that you don't recognize it, but it's that like kind of wet, musky, has just been in a pond kind of smell. And the sound of panting. You hear hoofbeats very far in the distance, and a strange reassurance in that. But then that toppling feeling again in the ground coming up to meet you. And Astor's eyes. But again, that flicker, like it's overlaid with somebody, like it kind of almost flashes through everybody that Tala has met, through everybody that you have met. It's trying to find a purchase of who this is supposed to be. And it doesn't make sense. And I think you start feeling overwhelmingly sick at this point.
I think Allegra just tries to hold on in her dream as long as she can before that nausea wakes her up again.
All right, Allegra, make a willpower test.
Cool. Oh, that's 11.
Hooray! She's working again. Perfect. On an 11, you know you're about to wake up. Is that feeling of, I've been here before, I'm about to fall and wake up. I'm about to throw up and I'll be awake. So this will be your last instant you feel to communicate in this dream, Allegra.
She focuses the hardest she can. She's had some very strange dreams lately. And she just tries her hardest to project the message to Tala that everything will be all right. We'll find you, we'll bring you home. Everything will be all right.
And in response to that, you get almost sobs, laughter, resigned, and this feeling that it won't be all right. And just for a second, this feeling like the child inside you isn't yours, that you aren't you, that this thing inside you is evil. And this brief smell of ashes and fire and the sound of screaming, and then it's gone.
With that, Allegra awakes with a startled, jump, and she sits bolt upright, breathing heavily, before she heads over to the edge of the boat and pukes her guts out.
Tala, roll me a will empathy. So, Millie, we're going to try this again. You need to, if you click on the will, and then when it comes up with the bonus dice box, if you put in 2 for your empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully it's going to work today. Just click through the rest. 18.
Yay!
Alright. The trip to Allegra was difficult, but as you leave it, you feel empowered. You were successful. And you know if you reach out, you can reach another.
Oh.
I will also add,
because-
Millie, that Adeline is also asleep, but her mind is more difficult for you to reach.
I think probably simply because Astor came up in that last one, that's going to be where my head's going.
Okay.
So I'll again be searching for those fragments. It's strange watching that smoke over water, those rippling images, and trying to bring them all together again. And I have to stop myself from giggling, hearing some of the things that he says, this oh so serious tone, and it's so at odds with the little boy that I knew. But I try and keep serious and pull those images together and see if I can find him. It takes me to partly to the hayloft, to where we were the last time. I feel like things were uncomplicated just for a second. That little tent that we'd made out of horse blankets and trying to make plans for each other without saying. But again, things keep warping. The back wall of this barn is not where it was. It kind of phases in and out from other places that I've been. There's just for a second I get distracted, and there's a guy that I think I recognize shooting with a bow and arrow into a deer carcass over and over and over, and it just pulls me there just for a second, and then I pull back and try and focus on Astor, about all the things that remind me of him, and just those eyes, because they've never changed, even though he tried to. Just that kind heart through his eyes that I think he wishes wasn't there.
The deeper you try and go, the more you try and find those eyes that you know so well. The barn shifts as you see him at a distance, but he hasn't recognized your presence yet. He's still inside his own dream at the moment, and the hay scattered around slowly brightens up, enlivens, and turns to grass. The walls kind of disappear into mist. The closer you get, the darker the grass gets. First brown, then red. Then you look down, and as you're walking through the glass in search for those eyes once more, you see that around your ankles, just blood pooling. But eventually, that face that you can't quite make yet, but it has those distinct eyes, as the neck snaps around and looks you dead where you are, even if not aware of your presence, but aware of a presence. The moment it locks in your direction, the blood recedes again, and the grass comes back to its lively green and dies and becomes hay again, and the barn is built back up.
I think as that blood
glimpse of
recedes,
recognition.
It kind of almost sucks back into the 3 cuts on my palm. And you can see me looking at this star shape on my hand, just smiling. And then I hold my hand out to you. And you get this overwhelming feeling like if you don't want to be there, you don't have to be there.
The moment that the hand is stretched out, for seconds you can see his face clearly, but it's not the face that you've last seen. It's a much younger, much more innocent face. No scars yet. Probably when he was around 14, 13. Just eagerly walking in your direction. And you feel a sense of relief, of mixed with sorrow and anguish. But as he eagerly starts and tries to, at full speed, make his way in your direction, he starts aging until it reaches that same face that you know, until it morphs into something you've never seen before, which is this serious, stern, worried face. And he stops in his tracks, and you feel as he takes a deep breath, and his face starts morphing into what seems to be a mixture of Adeline and Jaime, almost as if he's trying to communicate something, give you a message, instead of enjoying the moment.
Nuno, make me a will roll, please.
Straight up will, just the...
Do you have any will bonus dice?
Let me see. No, I don't. So never mind.
Yeah, just straight will for you.
Oh, 15. Oh, wow.
15. Very good. All right, so you can successfully send a message. You feel like you have that power. You have a mouth that could speak, or you could craft a sign if you'd like as well.
Yeah, in that case, you see as the face starts morphing, a projection of both Adeline and Jaime appear in front of Astor as he stops in his tracks. It seems like they're searching. They're tired, but searching and never giving up. And you feel like there's a familiarity to the environment, almost as if they are going into places that you've been before.
You see me smile at that. Almost as if I'd known it or been told it, and that thought echoes in your head. For a moment, you're not quite sure if you knew it, that they were looking for me, or if you'd been told it, or if you'd dreamed it. And you see flashes again of oil and water and ripples moving outward of a little toy boat on the water just bobbing. And then the smoke almost envelops you in that moment, I think, though. And you see my hands push through it and place their palms on your temples, as if to soothe you, as if that doesn't matter, that it will be fine. And then I stare at your eyes like I don't see what I was expecting. And then just smooth your brow and pull you into a hug. And suddenly I'm very, very small again. I'm the same little girl that you knew growing up. And I want to run and play. You can feel that sense of joy at having found you again. And I want you to run with me.
He feels the need to run, but as you close in the hug, he's reluctant in letting go, almost as if he fears that even though Adeline and Jaime are on their way to finding you, he feels like this is it. This is the last time he's going to have any contact with Tarla. And so he's reluctant in letting go, but if there's something he's learned all these years is Tarla cannot be tamed. So after pulling her into the tightest hug ever for as long as he feels he can, he will then let go briefly and let you run and run after you and hope that the dream never ends.
And as you chase after me, you see me just turn and look at you and start running towards you as fast as I can. And I leap at you, and you get this momentary flicker of me hurling myself off a horse to grab you round the neck and jump you into a hay bale. And that tumbles into you falling off the top of the hay barn into the haystack, and that morphs into you falling from your horse during the hunt, and you're falling and falling and falling into this bed of smoke. You just vanish into it.
And Tarla, are you letting Astor go?
Never. Letting him sleep.
So yeah, as you produce that image in his mind and he starts falling and falling, he understands that that's it. And with its last sliver of connection, you feel a lingering question. Not really a question, just a doubt that instills in his mind of, will I ever see you again? Will they be able to bring you back? And there's a sliver of that thought as he drifts again away from you.
I think you hear an echo of yourself as you slip back into unconsciousness. Just tell me this is all bullshit. And that sense that all you have to do is say you don't want it, and we'll make the problem go away.
And Astor sleeps. It's one of those sleeps where you're convinced you only just fell asleep. One of those sleeps where you're convinced that you're just waking up from that dream. Time is very strange. But you awaken because there's a ringing of a bell. You're awaking because the sea churns hard against the ship that you are journeying on. And Belsey Castle is looming into view for Allegra, as you have been sick this entire night and voyage, all the way across the sea. Belsey Castle, like Dragonstone, is a fortress which dominates the land it stands upon. There is little land here that isn't covered in the stone of castle. But this is a familiar place for both of you. This is the home of your mother, the Lady Bywater, before she became Lady Tremaine. This is a pleasant place to grow up when the sun is shining, for in the walls of the castle there are green spaces to practice archery, to practice fencing, to run and play in the small isolated orchard that they have here. And then there are all the corridors and stairways, all the secret nooks and crannies, similar to the warren of House Tremaine at Famine's Hold, but different, because this castle is well maintained, and the lanterns are always lit. The house has this feeling of always being full, despite its size and sprawl. But the dock is grim, as the ship is harbored just off the shore, and the rowboat is prepared to carry you towards that great castle. Your names are called. Is there anything you would like to do before you take the rowboat to shore?
So, as Astor kind of wakes up and picks himself up and goes onto the deck, I assume he spots Allegra, as she was on the deck, right? After just spewing, yeah. He just looks in your direction with like haunted eyes, almost as if something happens, something he can't really explain, and just stares at you in confusion.
I think as you look at Allegra, she is clearly exhausted, and there's something very similar in her eyes. And she raises an arm in a gesture of like, come here.
And he does.
And as soon as he walks up to her, she just envelops him in a tight hug.
He takes it for a few seconds and then whispers in her ear, with all the things I forgot, congratulations, Allegra. One more.
Thank you. Another one, yes. Are you alright?
I had the strangest dream.
I did too. Was it of Tala?
Yes. Was it real?
I'm not sure. Honestly, my dreams have been so bizarre lately.
Mine haven't. I mean, not more than normal, that is.
I'd put it down to being with child. It does strange things to your brain, but what if it's not? What if that was Tala?
I think it might, Allegra. I think it might. But I felt
And she's still out there somewhere.
But I felt like she doesn't want to be found.
There was something strange, yes. That feeling of she was herself, but she wasn't anymore.
Just hope Jaime and Adeline can find her.
Sure they will. Out of all of us, those two finding her is probably the best bet.
You're right. I
My
guess
lord.
it's not the...
My lady. We are ready to go
Yes.
ashore. And beside you, the Lady Will has appeared.
Of course, forgive us, we're not really used to boats. Horses are more our thing. Just an easy night. We'll be right down.
And she'll give a
Allegra just
nod.
kind of looks at her. She doesn't like acknowledge her or like, you know, say anything. She just notices she's there, but she's intruding.
I think she gives a deep nod to Astor, and her eyes glance to Allegra, and it's a much less deep, much shallower nod to Allegra.
Oh,
And she'll
this
move
silly girl.
away. On deck, it's sea spray is coming up over the sides. There are men shouting to each other as they're doing what they can to set the sails, batten hatches, and all of those sea things that men do at sea.
Allegra
she-
turns to Astor, and I think she gently just like puts a hand on his arm. Would you mind accompanying me to the castle? I'm still not feeling quite right. And she puts a hand on her belly, but there's clearly she's not acting, she's not playing it up. She's clearly feeling really super sick.
Of course, yes. There's nothing we can do about this now. Just let's trust those two. For now, we have other problems to deal with. Let's go.
You load in to the rowboat, and it's a short distance to the shore. A steely-armed Dornishman does the majority of the rowing, and you land. A party has come to gather near the large gates on this side of the island, but you can see it's mostly guard retinue, curious as to the ship that has come across from King's Landing, particularly as it bears Dornish heraldry, which could mean the master of ships has arrived on a different ship. They're not sure what's going on. But there's a grim and defensive posturing.
Do we spot any of our relatives here, or is it just purely guards?
It looks just like guards. You know, remaining on the island, you have the Lady Rhiannon, you know, is here from a previous correspondence you have, as well as your youngest cousin, who is about 5 and probably not coming out to greet people at the gate.
Allegra says quietly to Astor, you should probably announce us. We didn't send advance warning that we were coming.
Of course. And because I assume I traveled to King's Landing with some people from our household, not only the maids, right?
I think you maybe had like 1 or 2 unnamed guards with you, but mostly you were traveling with the Gaunt contingent, if you remember.
Oh, that's true. But yeah, so if one of those 2 guards is around, I'll just give them a sign, whatever that would be, to shout to announce me and the Tremaines, and just see what the guards at Belsey say.
You send a runner up the small incline to the gate, and there's a conversation that you can't hear over the howling of the wind and the churning of the sea. But then a sound of heavy metal mechanism, and a clink, and a grind, and the gates come open. You can hear men shouting to each other, but the precise words are not clear as they're snatched away by the air and the sea. Your runner returns. They said to come in.
Perfect. Turn to Allegra. Let's go.
All right.
And signal to whoever's carrying the box, which I assume in the meanwhile we had time to.
Question.
Yeah.
Who is carrying the box?
So if possible, I would let Tremaine people do it. So those 2 guards, for example, could be carrying it. Because I feel like that's better than just have randos carrying the heads of our uncle.
Do you know what would be better even than that? You carrying it.
That's true. All right, fine. Yeah. So I guess
Allegra very
would,
quietly coaching her younger brother.
I guess they would carry. I would let the guards carry the box up to the gate, and then take it myself and walk inside castle proper with the box in my arms.
All right.
call.
So that's essentially what happens. The runner bears the box until you reach the castle, where it is handed over to you. And if you remember, this is a small crate that has been gathered from the castle kitchens. And inside, wrapped in Dornish silk, is your uncle's butchered head.
The worst.
You are led through the heart of Belsey Castle, down corridors in a dizzying array, until you reach the hall. Astor, your memories of this place are of it being bright and full of life, the lanterns always lit. There was nearly always a minstrel, you're sure, or a mummer, something going on. But the mood is strangely dour, and it seems as if only half the lanterns are lit, spilling out a gloomy presence to the place. And the hall tables are bare, no food has been laid out, no drink, no goblets. But at the center of this hall, as in all Westerosi halls, is the throne of sorts, the head table. And I'm going to ask Susie to describe for me what the head table of Belsey Castle looks like.
Why would you do this to me, Charlie?
You were there when this castle was forged.
Fuck. Okay. I think it's as large, as grandiose as the castle itself. And it alludes to the history of this great keep that had just grown and grown over the centuries. It's probably made of the same stone as the castle walls. But obviously with the actual seat itself, there is a nice cushion for the Lord to sit upon. And in the middle of the chair, as it's at the back of the chair as it goes up, there is the Bywater heraldry, which I believe is the fish with the net.
Correct.
Like there's like a shield like carved into the back of it, engraved beautifully. And the imagery of the fish in the net and the castle is all reflected in the fine engravings around the big fancy seat.
The table legs themselves are swells, almost waves, which bear fish that jump, nearly disconnected from the water. And on that cushion, upon that central seat, sits an elegant lady with dark hair. You can just about make out the graying at her temples. She sits with a straight and strong posture, not leaning back against that oak engraving. Her neck seems almost slightly too long, and her hair is pulled up and cascades down in this long, flowing ponytail. Her dress is relatively simple, a blue with a silver reflex to it. Her hands are clasped. She is waiting for you. And I would say you can both assume this is Rhiannon Bywater. Although this aunt isn't someone you're likely to have spent a great deal of time with directly, probably only correspondence. She married a knight in the Vale and lived north of here for quite a long time while you were growing up. But she never changed her name from Bywater. Those are kind of the facts you would know about this woman.
So, Charlie, before we jump into this, there was one thing that I wanted to ask, because we had some time on the boat, I assume, before the sleeping sequence, and while the ship was being prepared and whatnot, I think Astor would try and rake his memory and see if he could try and coalesce in his mind things about the Bywater family that he would know. For example, people they would be at odds with, people that might benefit from this sudden lack in power, who would probably be most likely to try and snatch things up in the household and stuff like that.
Okay, so why don't you make we'll take either a cunning memory or a knowledge streetwise.
Okay, it's going to definitely be cunning memory. And yeah, not going to use the thing. I think it's going to be needed for other things. Okay. Oof. Well, that's 31, Charlie.
That's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
Hang on. Has anyone checked to make sure this is the real Nuno? I don't believe that this is the real Nuno.
It is
Who
I.
are you?
That's four sixes. A
Wow.
5,
Skrull.
2.
He's a Skrull.
Oh no.
All right, so Nuno, this is how we're going to do this. You are basically looking back in your mind to conversations you've had, correspondence with your cousin, Lucan, of the Kingsguard, as well as your experiences while you were here. I'm going to say with a 31, you can ask me 5 questions.
Holy
and I will
shit,
answer them with as much information and truth as I can provide.
Okay, so first one. It's established that the only heir is the child of Lady Rhiannon, right? Which is currently 5. The only suitable heir.
The only eligible heir is the son of Donegal Bywater.
Ah, okay.
The guy whose head you're carrying. It's his youngest son. He has 2 other sons. One of them is Lucan, who was taken into the Kingsguard, and the other one is currently studying at the Citadel.
Gotcha.
Your elder uncle, Lord Aberon Bywater, never had any legitimate children because he was never married. He dodged it a lot.
Right, so
Rhiannon does have a son, but he is not here.
Okay. All right. So in that case, of people that are not eligible per law, is there anyone that I know of that would like to force themselves upon the house?
People who can make claims to the house would include your half-brother, Jaime, as he's the legitimate son of the elder daughter of this house, whose name I've forgotten. What was her name, Susie? What's your mom's name?
Jacelyn.
Yes.
That's right, Jacelyn Bywater. So Jaime is Jacelyn's son, and she's the eldest of the Bywater family. It's kind of complicated because technically Donegal's son is that would be the direct path, but he's 5. Rhiannon has a son. You don't know anything about him.
Okay.
Very little has been said or mentioned. Other people that can make claims. Just across the water, you could have a Targaryen takeover because this is a massive castle. You also have Allegra, who is the daughter of Jacelyn Bywater and has 2 sons. You also potentially have Aberon Bywater's illegitimate children should they become legitimized. But none of them really have direct connections here at Belsey Castle. Most of them are in Bravos and scattered around the place.
Okay. Second one. Are there any known enemies to the Bywater family that would try and perhaps forcefully, now that the chance is there, try and grab the house as well?
So Bywater was done really dirty by the Targaryens following the rebellion. Bywater came to the aid of King Daeron, and he was promised Master of Ships. But Master of Ships went to Gargalen, the Dornishman. And you know that the siege of Tyrosh was essentially a ton of the lords around here showing off for who could be Master of Ships. That was the underlying politics, right? Is the Master of Ships isn't here. He's fucked off somewhere. No one knows where Gargalen is. We want to go and beat up Tyrosh. Let us go and show off some prowess. You would know that taking part in that, you have the Diffin's family, the Valarians, who are on another island, Driftmark Island, which is around here. But basically, in terms of legitimate grab, there are very few people who can make a legitimate grab. It's a fortress island. That's essentially the whole resource beyond the ships which went to Tyrosh. It relies heavily on its ships, whether for fishing or for trade.
Okay.
Which is why the Sun are generally sent off to join the Citadel, Kingsguard, things like that. That's how they make connections and deal politically with the world.
Okay. Why are also well? I'm having trouble finding questions that I want to answer to, Charlie.
Well, what you can do, is if you want, is you could bank the other ones, and during an intrigue, you could ask me them.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, let's do that. So 3 left, yeah?
Yes, 3 left.
Perfect.
But if they come up during an intrigue, it'll be a much shorter answer, and it'll be very direct information just to
Okay.
keep things going.
Sounds good. In which case, bring us back.
All right. I am going to say that this is a good point to roll for initiative in this intrigue. We're going to go straight into an intrigue with Rhiannon Bywater, who is sat on her chair in the middle of this hall.
Very well. What's their status of the house?
Rhiannon's status
Of Lady
is
Rhiannon,
4.
yeah. Okay, in that case I have to roll. So see, there we go again.
There it is.
6. Now, yeah.
Susie, you also need to roll.
I did roll. I got a 10.
Oh, okay. Cool. And Rhiannon is going to roll as well. And she got 4, 8, 10, 12 on her dice.
Okay.
All right. The Lady Rhiannon regards you both with a nod. Welcome to Belsey. I am told you bring bad news.
Yes, thank you for welcoming us. Your holds, Lady Rhiannon, Aunt. I wish we were visiting on brighter times, with not such dire news, but we would have sent message ahead, but we thought that making haste was more important. I'm afraid things didn't go well at the siege, and your brother has perished. And he carefully gestures with the box forward in like a kind of way.
Rhiannon's eyes dart to the side of the room, and a Bywater guard comes to take the box from you. He sets it in front of her on the table, and she drops her gaze towards it and then back up to you. I've heard a number of things regarding this. What precisely do you know of it?
I'm afraid we do not know much. It was mere chance that we were in King's Landing when the body arrived. What I can tell you is it was found next to a pile of silver coins. It seems it was a message of sorts.
And for her first action in this intrigue, she's going to use the technique of read target, and she's going to attempt to read you, Astor, as you present this to her. So she needs to make an awareness empathy test versus your passive deception.
Everyone knows I'm very good at deceiving people.
8,
It's an
9,
8,
10,
so I need
11.
to beat an 8.
I rolled a 12, so she succeeds.
There we go.
So she gets to know your disposition towards her. I'm going to hand wave the knowing of techniques and those things. I don't find that particularly interesting for this. And then she'll gain bonus dice for the intrigue.
At this point, it's friendly. More of like respect other than anything. On a normal circumstance, it'd probably be indifferent. I don't know if that matters. But at the moment, friendly.
Yep. Just his current disposition is important. That's fine.
Okay, friendly.
And you can change your disposition throughout an intrigue.
Cool.
So keep that in mind. Her gaze then wanders to you, Allegra. My Lady Dorsey.
Aunt Rhiannon.
I hope the tides of Tyrosh were more favorable to your husband.
And she takes a deep breath and in a moment closes her eyes. I have faith that they are. I've received conflicting reports.
Which reports do you believe, my lady?
I'd much rather believe the ones where my husband is alive.
We shall say our prayers to the 7 that he is.
Thank you. Do you know where my cousin is? I spoke to Lucan at the capital and he asked that I tell him about what happened.
We are keeping him in his room for the time being, away from where he might read or hear something he oughtn't.
That's understandable. I ask only that I be the one to tell him. I have a message for him from his brother.
You wish to go to him now?
No, I don't need to go right now.
How are you? When I wrote, it had been my intention that we might improve situations between the Bywaters and the Dorseys. It seems that rather the Lords had their own plans.
Yes, well, when we hosted Uncle Aberon at Famine's Hold, things were wonderful. Had a long chat, and we'd been talking about seeing each other more often. After all, we're just slightly north of you. It makes sense. But myself and my family are doing all right, all things considered. How are you?
quite well, all things considered. What is it that you came here for?
Pay our respects.
We couldn't possibly let anyone else carry the remains. Took it upon ourselves as our mission.
You sent Aberon alone.
I'm afraid back then we were in dire circumstances. The entire family was poisoned, and my apologies, I meant to reply, but things have been quite chaotic, as you might understand. But this was the last drop. I feel like, given the respect that I have between the relationship between House Bywater and House Tremaine, we had to come. Now that we're recuperated from the poisoning, that is. And we're here to make sure that if you need anything from us, if you need our help, then you can count on us. After all, we have always been stronger together.
Okay, Allegra and Astor, you may make your rolls. And consider your goals and your techniques. I would say, Astor, you can have a bonus dice for making your case regarding the poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hang on.
And your youngest cousin's name is Declan, according to the only note I can find of where I wrote these things down.
Declan, okay.
Declan Bywater. Goes with Lucan rather well.
Declan and Lucan.
It's a 13 for charm against her intrigue
Hey.
defense. Because I'm not seducing her, so I gotta take a minus 2d penalty. Because I'm haunt.
Yeah, so after just straight up convincing her that they're there for the right reasons and they really had to go to strengthen the bonds between, and that is a 19.
Alright, so that's 1 degree of success for Allegra, and 1, 2... Hold on, I can't do maths. Yeah, 2 degrees for Astor.
Okay.
So that's 5 against her composure.
Yep.
And
me?
6 for Master.
And 6 for Astor. Perfect. And we'll be using the new Sword Chronicle rules, whereby the person who does the most composure damage has an effect, as does the winner of the intrigue. Because we're doing a nice little multi-intrigue here. Although both Astor and Allegra are kind of working towards a similar goal, I imagine.
I hope.
I don't want to assume.
I
Fair,
would
yeah, that's
never
fair.
betray my family.
There have been rumors, Astor and Allegra, that House Tremaine has been acting opportunistically, causing incidents at court for their own gain.
I wouldn't put much stock in rumors, Aunt.
Is that because the rumors are about you, Allegra?
There are many rumors about me, Aunt Rhiannon. Only some are true. This one is not. I acted in the interest of my family, including your brother.
Including your uncle.
Yes. Whom I loved dearly. And she fixes her with like a harsh gaze, like, why are you coming after me?
I am afraid
The
that
thing-
as...
Oh no, go ahead, Lord Tremaine. I'm very interested to hear what you have to say.
Thank you. I'm afraid that, as always, rumors are gravely exaggerated. We had just been through a harsh period in House Tremaine. Famine's Hold was in upheaval. What my dear sister did at court was to make sure that the rightful people would pay for what happened at our house, would pay for what happened to our guests, including our dear uncle. Truth is, not all plans go accordingly. Things go south. But trust me when I say that opportunistic is not the right words. Given that our trouble with our neighbors has been going for quite a while, I would call it more survival, will for closure. Perhaps ill-considered, yes, but not
Opportunistic was my attempt at kindness. I have heard nothing good, and it troubles me. I reached out to the both of you and heard very little in return. House Tremaine's troubles have brought troubles upon House Bywater, and you did not reach out to us for any part in the court's considerations of the events. In fact, you might consider how it appears to me that you have appeared only when there is an opportunity for you to benefit from the loss of your uncles. What am I to do with this head?
First of all, I would recommend that you treat it as you would any other remains. It is, after all, even during a short time, a lord's House Bywater. As for your first concerns, simply tell us what we can do to help, and hopefully we can mend this relationship. As I said, my apologies for not getting back to you sooner. But a lot of things are happening. Things that I'm still getting the grasps of. But we are here now. Let us help each other.
What help do you think House Tremaine could provide House Bywater? This head is an offense. It is a threat. This head makes a mockery of many things. And it is delivered to me in an apple crate. And I'm going to make a persuasion insight roll against Astor because she is pushing him to react. Actually, no, let's make this intimidate. She's pushing to be more intimidating than that. Let's go.
That's fair.
Right. Ooh, okay, that's 10, 16, 20, 21, 23.
What?
And Intimidate is a will rank. But that's versus your intrigue defense.
It's 11, so let's do math. That's 2 degrees, yeah? But it's double, more than
11,
double. So
16, 21, 3 degrees. Plus it's double, and I rolled 1 6.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that's crit. So her will rank is 4, so that's 12 composure damage. Minus your DR rating. And looking at the the crits, which is our homebrew rules, with 1 6, I get sharp tongue, and I ignore 2 of your defense rating against me.
Yeah.
So that's...
So how does this work now? My composure is 9 total, and I'm taking 10. Minus 2 plus 2, because the 2 is ignored. So it's 10. Frustration, yeah?
Yes, if you would like to stay in.
Yeah, please.
Reduce by your will rank.
Will. Okay, in that case, 7 total, plus 1 frustration.
Right.
There we go.
And it puts you at minus 1d for your tests.
Yep.
Oh, I just realized I could have
Gotcha.
rolled a bonus dice on that, but don't worry about it. I think we're fine.
I don't think it was necessary,
I
Charlie.
think the message was received, Charlie, somehow.
Yeah.
I think.
All right. So that was her turn. Allegra, you are next in the initiative.
Allegra is. There's something. Allegra's usually very good at keeping a calm, collected face in social situations. She's a very good woman at masking her true feelings, but the exhaustion and everything that's happened has basically made this not a thing, and she's clearly frustrated, angry, hurt that her aunt is going after them like this. And she snaps back. Do whatever you will with the head, then, if it's not enough for you. Tell me, what should we have done? Should we have prostrated ourselves when we walked in here? Begged your forgiveness? Cried out for the 7 to forgive us? You'll forgive me, Aunt Rhiannon, but between almost dying, having to flee from Storm's End for my own life, and wondering whether or not my children will have a father, I've had little time to think of anyone else.
Bonus dice, Susie. Make your roll.
And I'm getting her right back with a fucking...
Get him!
I'm not saying Susie's competitive, but...
I ain't going
she's
down
got her
out like
big
this.
lead chances, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Da-da. Oh my god, Allegra, please! That's a 14. She's angry. She's doing it's that thing where, you know, when you're angry and you're yelling, but you start like welling up with tears and your voice cracks a little bit. It's completely undermining her whole fury.
Was that with your bonus dice, Susie?
Sure was.
Alright, that's 1 degree.
1 degree, that's 5.
Alright. You see her grit her teeth. There's a tenseness to her jaw as you bite back. And she sighs, and it's a long, drawn-out sound. Something that you would recognize as a rehearsed sound. Lord Tremaine, any thoughts to add?
Kind of looks a bit shocked at the moment at this sudden hostility, as he was not expecting it. My lady, I'm afraid that I'm quite shocked. Although my sister's words are harsh, I am tending to agree with them. We hastily come here to preserve as best as we could the remains in question. Or would you rather that we present you a rotting head? And apart from that, if you don't need our help, then you just say so. We shall leave as soon as you tell us to leave. But don't welcome us into your home to attack us. I beg of you.
Alright, make your roll. Goodbye, Astor.
There we go. Oh, wait. Frustration!
Frustration.
I'm going to use the 20 up there
Your
to
extra key
cancel the frustration. Yes.
Awesome. And I want to say a massive thank you for the Bane to Allegra from Pope, the sub-event unlock, and all of these retweets that we got going on. The boon will be coming in pretty soon. I'm having fun right now. I'm sorry.
19 again.
19, all right. So this will succeed. Because your damage is 3, correct? For each degree of success?
For each degree, yeah. So 6 again.
You will win this intrigue. Winning on a convince, your target will support your position and grant you assistance based on your argument alone. Allegra, you did more damage just about, so you could have an additional from that. I can't find the verbiage right now, but I will look it up.
I feel like Allegra and Astor were on the same kind of wavelength here. So, Nuno, what do we want it to do? Just be chill and not be a dick for 5 minutes?
Yeah, first of all, yes, please. No, I guess at this point, the only victory that matters is that she accepts that we're there to pay our respects and help. And if we can't help, then we'll leave. But for now, just treat us as family.
Yeah, work towards strengthening those bonds that have weakened over the years.
Exactly.
Perhaps.
I just had a flashback to chemistry A-level bonds and valences.
Oh no.
Covalent bonds?
What a moment. Yeah, covalent bonds. That's just where my brain went straight away.
Something I haven't thought about since I was 16, but here we are.
And now I'm thinking about cyanide bonds, because that's never mind. Okay, so...
What? No? Please?
So you see her composure crack, and her hand goes to her face, and her shoulders do that shake of a woman who is crying. And the sound travels around the room, and there's a muttering of apologies. One of the attendants comes to her side to give her a Westerosi handkerchief. And there is someone who makes a kind of a glance to the side, and someone disappears from the room. And you can hear their footsteps as they begin to run once they're out of sight of the room.
Allegra will slowly and cautiously approach the chair and her weeping aunt, and will just gently put a hand on her shoulder in a comforting gesture. But not an over-familiar hug, you know? It's like a...
Yeah.
Astor will stay still and let Allegra do her thing.
It's been rather difficult. Everything here in change, and every time someone leaves, they don't come back.
I quite understand
And now
how
there's
that
just
feels.
body parts being brought here. Remains. They were my brothers, and they come back in pieces. I can still hear Averon laughing in the hall sometimes. He was meant to be Lord forever. And as she looks at you, you see the small crow's feet gathering at the corners of her eyes, and you recognize a tiredness.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about her face that is, I am really out of my depth, and that kind of innocent of he was meant to live forever and this wasn't ever meant to happen, that's just there as she looks up at you. Her Bywater blue eyes are brimming with tears.
I think at this point Allegra kneels down so she's not towering above her, right? Just to come down on that equal footing, even slightly lower than her. And she takes her hand and she says, you know, I always used to love that story he told. The Bywater Buccaneer. I must have heard it 300 times. But he always seemed so happy when he told it.
And Donegal, he was always so strong. He always knew what to do. He always knew. And she looks towards that head, and you realize she's not touching it. She doesn't want to know what the state of that head is under that silk. It's just...
Allegra kind of looks back to Astor with the, like, get it out of here look. Like, I'll get someone to get rid of it look.
Yeah. Astor will walk forward himself and take the box out of sight and hand it to one of the Bywater guards there, so he can put it somewhere respectful.
And they will follow your instructions.
Yeah.
We can deal with all of this tomorrow. But for tonight, we need to talk to Declan. And we need to mourn.
He's just a boy. He's not ready. These cutthroats.
No, but with guidance, and she squeezes her hand, our guidance, all of us, he will grow to be just as strong as his father, just as full of life as his uncle, and just as cunning as his aunt.
Have you come to take the house, Allegra?
No. Gods, no. I have not. I've barely
And
started
she-
learning about Dorsey. Misha, I named the wrong son. Whoops.
Alright.
Great mother.
Allegra, right.
Yeah, Allegra knew what she was talking about. Susie doesn't.
And what of Astor? Terrible things at House Tremaine. What is to be done there?
As I said, this is something to think about later. Astor is learning, but he's a good lord.
We shall see. And into the room comes a servant hurriedly carrying 3 goblets of wine. And they are set down on the head table. There is no pause as Rhiannon takes hers and swallows down most of it. She wipes her mouth as some pools down to her chin.
I think for the first time in a while, Allegra does not drink. She doesn't have the stomach for it today.
Astor, do you join your aunt in drinking?
Yes. So that it doesn't seem like she's the only one drinking, and that might be weird. So he will drink out of solidarity.
Right. And we will leave you drinking with Aunt Rhiannon in the hall, or not drinking as the case may be. And we will flash back for a moment to a potent mix that Adeline swallowed, to a cart that moves through the world, led by... And Tala, you, in your dreaming, have wandered far and between minds of your relatives. You know you don't have long, but perhaps if you push your luck, you could reach one more mind. That said, it doesn't have to be a relative that you reach out to, Millie.
So you were saying that Adeline feels more removed, like further through the mist to get to her, whereas Jaime is closer.
Jaime has been easier for you to find, but even now, as you think about it, you feel someone familiar watching. In the mist, a green and a blue eye, curiously like. And that taste to the dream. What is that taste, Tala?
It's almost like mead, but it's got this tang to it, like it's just a bit too sweet. Like it's pushed over the edge. It's not unpleasant, it's just like when you take in a spirit that you know is a little bit stronger than you were expecting. It's got a kind of moorish taste to it, but you know it's going to make you ill. I think it's almost like a chiming bell. It's like the only thing I can think of to explain it. It's almost like sonar, like I'm sending out this ringing sound through the mist because I don't know who I'm aiming for and I want to see who responds. But these eyes, seeing that flicker through the mists, it almost feels like a game of hide and seek. And even though I've been taught to fear it, to me, it's almost like those eyes would understand because they're doing something similar to me. So I'm kind of diving through the smoke towards where I think I want to be, but always with this almost a laugh, like I did with Adeline when we were on our horses together, just laughing, telling her to keep up. Like, if you want to follow me, you're going to have to try harder than that.
And in your mind, you shift to a rabbit. That rabbit that escaped you. That rabbit that has run through your dreams and sometimes been you. But that rabbit is fueled by not fire, there's no ash to it. It's almost like a shooting star. Bright, strong. And you dart through this misty place. And around you rings that bell as you look for a familiar place. And I'd like you to make your willpower empathy roll, please, Tala.
Okay.
Millie, as the bells ring out in Tala's mind, and you look for familiar forms and places to hide in the shadows, you find a cask of open wine with wasps that dart about, buzzing. And just a little further, your brother stumbles. He sings songs about dragons. One green and one black. Siblings that fight. Siblings that fall. But you find, as you wander towards that, there are others too. You find R'hllor is following you along this road. An anguished huff that the attention is not towards him. And in amongst the ferns, you see another rabbit with white fur. It nibbles away at the brush. Its ears perk up towards you. And the bells ring out, chiming. And there's a spider. But as you look at it, it's not a spider, that's not right. It's another creature with many legs. many, many legs. And it's running along. It's nearly as tall as a person. But you count past 8 as you count its legs. And it scurries. Mind do you, Tala?
I think I would race straight up to the other rabbit just for a second and kind of pause, like looking straight at it with this sort of twitch, and then race off towards where I could feel Jaime. And I'm using that feeling of being a rabbit. Whenever I've dreamed it before, it's felt panicked. It's felt like I'm trying to evade something that was too big for me. Whereas now it feels powerful, that erratic energy, that it feels like I'm gaining momentum for something I don't understand. And I'm barreling towards where I can feel Jaime's presence coming from. And I see that barrel of wine with wasps. And I wonder if he's drunk from it. I wonder if... And it feels like it's wrong, like it's bad. And so on one of these rabbit turns, I jump up into the air and try to kick it over as hard as I can.
Okay, that's really interesting to me. Make a willpower check.
Just flat will?
Just flat will for this one. Right, you kick out and your feet connect with this wooden side, and down cascades the wine from the barrel as the barrel tumbles. But it's rolling downhill and away. And you watch as the wasps go after it. But Jaime still stumbles in the other direction. And the sound of that barrel tumbling, it's a creaking wood sound. Strange, hollow sound.
I'll chase after Jaime. Absolutely. And I'm almost trying to trip him. I don't want him to stumble in the dark. I don't want him to not know where he is.
And this brown rabbit speeds after you, Jaime, in the strange dream that you're having. You're going somewhere. And you're going to show them that you're the true dragon. You'd survived the fire. And this rabbit is racing from behind you. You can hear its feet. And then you feel the brush of fur against your leg as it weaves around. And you feel something familiar about this creature. But it's hard to place.
And as you feel it brush against your ankles, it's strange. It pushes your feet in a direction that you slowly realize is mimicking dance steps that you once taught your sisters. You're still stumbling, but it feels like there's muscle memory there, that there's something just tickling at the back of your brain, that you've done this before, that you've taught this.
Jaime takes a hand and grasps down at the rabbit. It dancing about, moving about as it is. I imagine it takes him at least a couple of tries to in order to pick it up. But he'd try.
As your hands connect with that fur, you see your hands, but they're not your hands. Again, sinking into fur, there's smoke in the air, there's unusual smells, and this sound like moaning or crying. You can't quite place it as your hands grip into this fur. And your body is suddenly racked with pain, and you look up at the sky, and there's this crescent moon in the sky, bright silver, shining down on you, and it almost feels like it's judging you. It's a scoop like this, and for a second it reminds you of weighing scales. It reminds you of every deal you've ever done. And you see the inside curve of it is razor sharp. And you feel what it would feel like to put your head on it. Just for a second, the danger of that.
And I think, if I may, Jaime reaches out as if to reach out for his sword in his scabbard, but he reaches out for the crescent moon, and holding it in a gloved hand, he grips hard and feels the press of cold, hard, edged steel in both the palm and around the fingers and the knuckles, and they press in and dig in, and his hand begins to bleed as he pulls the sword forward and points it at the rabbit. And in a drunken, angry Targaryen haze, says, "Fucking rabbit," and then goes to stab it.
I think you hear that giggle in your ear. And I think you've only heard it once before when you made a serious misstep in front of Tala, and she thought it was the funniest thing she'd ever seen in her life. You were trying to be so proper. And you made a fool of yourself.
I'd like you to make a will test, please. Jaime.
Which one of us? Okay. Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, that's my fault.
No worries. A 16. Ooh. That's not bad, actually.
Right, so with a 16, you can affect the stream in the way you would like to, Sam. Whether that's to remove Jaime from it, wake up, or to have an effect happen.
I think hearing that, Jaime drops the Crescent Moon sword, and it shatters on the ground now. And as he looks down at the muddy, rocky ground that it's cracked onto in a half dozen pieces, he looks down at the blood that's falling down his front, his belly, and beginning to fall down his legs. And he realizes that as he drew the Crescent Moon blade, his neck was still resting on it. And blood gushes from an open wound in his throat. And he sinks to his knees, still holding this rabbit up to his face, and looking at it square in the eyes.
As you stare into its eyes, you almost feel like you're diving into a pool. And you come to in a very vivid, very brief memory of your mother. there'd been some clothing that you'd torn that you were upset about. And she was comforting you that it could all be made okay. We can fix it. We'll get somebody to fix it. All you have to do is ask. And that question echoing in your head, do you want to fix it?
And Tala, you are interrupted. You are about to continue this dream with Jaime, but you awaken, and you are stood at the edge of a crystal clear lake. All around you, the ferns, the plants, the trees have bright green, healthy foliage. There's the sound of frogs, birds, small insects. And behind you, you sense the presence of your sisters. That's what they've been calling themselves. All of the All Rats. And the sorceress. She is walking through the woods behind you. And those green-blue eyes, they're staring down from the sky. Hidden there amongst the stars. And overhead, a crescent moon, which is reflected into that water. You are here.
My hand would clasp on the necklace that Donella gave me, that same crescent moon. And then I'd look about.
Creaking sound, that barrel tumbling downhill, only you realize now it's not a barrel tumbling downhill, but rather a cart creaking its way through the woods. You sense the 2 horses, 2 more sisters, and your family are coming.
I think I'd been about to dip my toe into the lake, and then when that mention of family happened, I'll take a step away from it. Almost like now's not the time. And I'll turn to the others. Is it now?
It is now, my lady. Everything
Those eyes
is
again.
Again? And her eyes go up. Lead priestess, sorceress. Let her watch. Are you ready?
I should like to race her one day.
Tala, are you ready?
Does it matter?
Yes.
And you see this little playful smirk, almost childish, like toying with the idea of going, no, I'm not. Let's wait a bit longer. Yes.
Good. The mother is still coming. We must stop her. And Jaime, in the back of the cart, you are rousing from this dream of blood and crescent moon blades and rabbits. And you can hear the speaking of the 2 women that lead the cart. Anitha, your sister, at least that's how you refer to your relationship, has been asking questions about the ritual, about the people that you bring. If this time, it is the time. Really, truly, if we can succeed. do you think? Anissa?
We can. I bring good tidings. I bring confidence. I bring a sacrifice.
And there's a sound of a turn as the Woods Witch turns to look over her shoulder. In the cart are 6 bodies. 3 long dead women. Small Sir Tim, Sir Jaime, and Lady Adeline, the Prophet's lover. I am afraid it might not work.
It will. Trust. Trust in the Prophet and the ones she's chosen. Where is our sister? Where is Tarla?
We were told it would be this lake. And the cart begins to slow as she takes the reins to now more control these horses' movements towards this place, this sacred place. It's been spoken about for so long. Jaime, in the back, you have that kind of, you're still a little bit drunk feeling. The hangover hasn't kicked in. You're still a little bit wobbly with it though. And you can hear this conversation. You can feel beside you the other people in the back of this cart.
I think because of the drink, he's not quiet or secretive about stirring. He kind of wakes up a bit, and he's kind of, you know, when you kind of do a little shuffle turn when you're lying down, like he just kind of jumps his body around a bit just to kind of get a good look about where he is in this cart as he kind of wakes up a little bit with a start, having half heard the conversation that the 2 women are having.
Do I hear that?
What is your passive awareness? And Jaime, are you trying to keep it quiet or no?
I don't think he is. I think he just. I don't quite know where I am, and it's kind of natural to just be. What the fuck?
So it's a small
passive-
ability on the...
Oh, just the small number next to the big 20.
Yep. Okay, yeah, easily you are aware of Jaime moving behind you.
The dragon stares. I turn around to look at him.
Next to me is Adeline awake.
No, she appears to be dreaming. You can see an expression shifting and she's asleep.
And so Tim's with us as well.
I kind of imagine it that Jaime is kind of sausaged in the middle. Tim's pushed to one side and Adeline's to the other.
Mm-hmm. I think Jaime doesn't look up at you, Lydia, but like he's looking either side to figure out. Hang on a minute. So we're in the cart, but we're here. If we're not here, he's got that kind of wheel turning.
Calm down, young dragon. There is no need to be afraid. We bring you where you wish to go, where you need to be.
I think it's at that second he sees the 3 deceased women next to his traveling companions. Wakes up with a start, and the way that she's talking too, he is really now waking up with a start and sobering up almost in an instant. Tries to get up and probably falls out of the cart, trying to kind of push away, steady himself, do anything he can, but kind of rolls out the back of it, splats into the mud.
I would try and stop the cart, but without much haste, without much alarm.
The cart comes to a halt right at the edge of the water. Just across, you can see the gathering of the women. It's kind of adjacent and across from you. And you hear the sound of Jaime tumbling down into the boggy tread from the cart wheels. And Lydia, would you describe for us how Anitha appears this night?
She steps down from the cart and slowly walks up to Jaime. You see her steps are very long and striding, and she is generally a very tall, gaunt figure with very delicate movement, almost fluent, and a smile that is always a little bit distant. Long dark hair, not well kept, tousled. She is wearing several talismans around her neck and on her belt, from your usual chicken feet and various trophies of various animals, bone puppets, and items you can probably not discern or quite understand what they would be used for, to simple silver amulets. She stands in front of you as you try and get up from where you tumbled into the mud. And she kneels down to you as you're trying to find your footing, and just looks. Brave. You're here.
The fuck are you?
I am the messenger.
And he reaches quickly for a sword, for a dagger, a knife, anything on his belt. Presumably
We've
finds
taken
nothing.
that. We've taken that. You won't need that here. You are searching. You have found. Just as we were searching, and we have found. It is all meant to be.
And from across the lake, the chorus of women all cry out, "The time is now!" And strange chanting in foreign tongues begin. You catch some words, Jaime, as akin to Valyrian, but it's a weird dialect and it doesn't quite make sense. Dragon is the word that comes up the most. And then something along the lines of water birth. And Anitha's companion is going to the back of the cart to collect Adeline. She is a smaller woman than Anitha, but spry and capable. And she loads Adeline almost like a sack of potatoes over her shoulder. And it's an awkward climb down. Go ahead.
As she's doing that, I'd like to try and barge past and get to her.
That's when I
All right.
stab the puppet.
Describe for me what you were doing, Lydia.
One of the pieces on the belt that you saw is a little doll. A little doll with a little bit of hair that you didn't notice was missing from your head. The silver Targaryen streak. It's the castigate ritual preparing was hours on the cart. The unleashing is what happens now.
And would you like to make the roll, Lydia?
Yes, I'm just looking for it.
You have
there's a bonus
3
dice from
dice
previous. Oh
that
god,
you've been
I'm
gifted by
using.
chat.
Yeah.
These
I'm
count
using
as
previous.
keep dice. So whatever the core rank is, that is essentially what would increase with these keep dice.
Okay, so +1 from the pair.
Okay.
And unleashing. So we'll roll. I might be extra, so +1 for this.
That moment when a player is like, and from this, and a few from there.
This is new system still, so
And
I
we
am
wait
sorry.
for the shower of
take a
dice. No,
little bit
I'm
longer.
excited with these additions. And you can check this out over in the Green Ronin Sword Chronicle book. This is a specific piece of magic that we're taking from them and bringing into Game of Thrones.
The amount that you're like, oh, just these dice, and I've got this thing, and I've added this bonus to this. Let's just describe what happens, in all honesty. Like...
24. Whatever that means.
Right. And that was against a number that should be in the description. If you scroll down on that PDF that you were given, there's everyone's calculated defenses, because defenses for magic is calculated for a different pool of stats from composure or intrigue or fighting.
Every I've beaten it. I'm awesome. I'm the best.
I'm pretty sure it's
fine.
8 for Jamie. I'm pretty sure Jamie had an 8,
Fuck.
if I remember correctly.
That's shit.
So, Lydia, that is many degrees of success.
How many degrees? Because again, I do not know
8
that.
Plus 5 is 13. Plus another 5
18, 3 degrees.
4 degrees.
4?
Does
First one for 8. Second one for 13. Third one for 18.
Yeah.
Fourth one for 23.
Ooh.
4.
Thank you, Nuno, for checking my maths. I appreciate you walking me through that.
What's Jamie's endurance rank?
3.
Oh. Because normally you would find, and you are feeling so very, very sick, and it's not the wine, and when it hits you that it's not the wine, you might turn around realizing that those chanting women have something to do with it. And when you see Anitha and the doll and your own dagger stabbing that doll, you see a curiosity in her eyes, wondering, looking forward to what this castigate will do to you, how you will react, and how you will perish in front of her.
Jamie, you are racked with an agony. That crescent moon that slashed your throat in the dream, you feel that blade again now, digging into you. But this time it scrapes not across your throat, but between each and every rib of your cage, digging deep into the organs within. You tumble towards your hands and feet as you crawl towards Adeline and the stranger. You look back towards that witch, that vicious sorceress behind you with her little doll. And you wonder how this can be. How can this be? You are the dragon. And you feel the arch of your back. And beneath your shoulder blades, something sprouts forth and spreads, ripping the flesh. And you have wings for a moment. Silver, strong wings. And your blood pours from your body down into the mud, trickling across the pebbles and stones and into the lake. And you watch bleary-eyed as Adeline's body floats out upon a poorly crafted raft that threatens to topple her into the water. Jaime, you are doomed to die at this lake. You may have moments, you may have hours. You are in agony. All tests are going to be made at -1d, with an additional -1d per degree. I am going to say that this would bring you to -4d for all tests, but I will say you will always roll a minimum of 1 dice. Keep, sorry, a minimum of 1 dice. Yes, keep. Correct myself, keep. But for now, you are doomed to die. And you are in pain, and very strange things are happening to you, but you still have agency in this moment. So I hand back to you and the witches. And Adeline, you feel a bleariness as your hand touches the cool of the water of the lake. And it's just like the dream when you touched her wet skin. And you have this feeling of, it's not contentedness, it's just a numbness. You don't have fear, you don't have any urgency. You're just drifting towards her.
Yeah. I don't think she necessarily realizes. She's probably still thinks this is like somewhere in her dream. Like it's so like ephemeral, this feeling. Like it feels unreal. And so she just drifts. Let the dream take her where she wants.
And Tala, you watch as Adeline is set upon the lake, pushed out. And you're aware of that cart on the other side. And you are all free to act as you would like. For pacing and ease, we're going to roll it as if it's a fighting initiative. So this is an agility quickness test. And this is just in case anyone wants to act at the same time, we can decide who goes first, but we're mostly going to do it narratively as much as we can. Because I don't want to interrupt you too much. So 11 for Anitha, 12 for Tala, 16 for Adeline, and Jaime's on a grand old 4. All right. So Adeline, you will get to act first, followed by Tala, followed by Anitha, followed by Jaime. And I will act after Jaime. The chorus of women drowns out any cry from Jaime in this moment just across the lake from you, Tala, but you're aware of him. You're aware of all the presences here in this place.
I would reach out in my mind to that overwhelming consciousness of everybody and just throw it out there to see who answers. Why him?
The binding needs the blood of a dragon, the tainted blood of old Valyria.
He has no power. Wine is stronger from a good vintage, no?
If we could have made it so, we would have, but conveniently, This dragon came to us.
He's
And it
not the
must
only
be
one
now.
here. I look up at the sky, at that moon in the sky, and I can kind of almost overlay the blue and green eyes above it and send out. Did you send him here?
Who are you reaching to, Tarla?
One of them that's watching. Another dragon, I think.
I don't think you can bait her from the sky. She has a very comfortable bed. And you can tell this is the priestess is like poking at this dragon in the sky now. She doesn't like that you are going off-piste here. This is not the plan.
No. But maybe she cares. I care about my family. Maybe there's a way without.
The blood of old Valyria runs cold, my lady.
She would sacrifice him. It's not very sisterly. And I look up at those eyes, at that moon again, and my glare has changed. That feels like a betrayal to me. And in my head, if it does anything, if I can even just make her feel it for a second, I'm imagining that crescent moon rotating in between the eyes. Just a slice.
Targeting the priestess or the star? Okay. Make me a will empathy.
That is 19.
She winces and her hands go to her temples. This is not the time for this argument, Tarla. Please. Please.
There has to be another way.
It is already done. And she is going to move away from you. And as she does, you can feel that much like Adeline, there's a barrier now that is being pushed up between you. The fog is becoming more dense, more strong and solid. And Adeline, you can hear Tarla very clearly. And you can hear the words of the priestess.
I think, Adeline, this is one of the first relatively clear sensations she's had in this waking dream, and she will look in that direction, not necessarily focusing. I don't know how much she can see, or she may not be in a state to see very much far, but she'll just kind of, as weak, she's still fairly weak, but strongly as she can. Tarla. She'll kind of like move her arm, like kind of like grasp in that direction.
Every small movement threatens to topple this raft that you're upon and tip you into the water. But you can reach out to Tarla.
Where are you?
Not far. Why are you there?
To take you home. And get answers.
Good luck with that.
Have they done anything to you? Are you okay?
Yeah. I don't think any of us are. Does it hurt?
That's what. She'll kind of like just with her hand just kind of try and like check her face. Like she's still not too sure where she is. I don't feel anything.
Liar. You feel everything. You don't get armor against that.
Her gaze grows distant. You say that.
Does it hurt?
Yes, it does.
Good. That means you had something worth losing.
They don't tell you about that is it hurts more when you lose it. And she'll look up in the sky again. Like she doesn't want to like even chance having any eye contact.
Ada.
Her brow furrows.
Where have you been? I've been waiting for you. It's been so cold. So cold out here by the broken tree. I heard them. Heard them running through the night. You are here, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I don't know where here is, and I don't know why this torments me, and I don't know why I keep hearing your voice. And she'll angrily just kind of move. She's not aware. It's instinctual. She like is in that mode where she's ready. She's lost her cool, so to speak, and is ready to either fight or run.
Alright, so you need to make me an agility balance test. Oh, that didn't quite work for whatever reason. Oh, there we go, that's the total. 12. On a 12, you prepare to fight, to run. You move quickly, and the entire raft tilts, and you grab onto it, and you find yourself submerged beneath it, gripping to it underwater, like an upturned canoe, only you can let go. And Tala, you watch as Adeline disappears in a perfect mirrored lake. This is exactly how it was meant to be. She's meant to go into the water. The blood is meant to mix. And this brings us to Anitha in our initiative.
She'll have stepped a little bit closer to the lake, completely enraptured by the scene and the ritual that is happening, that is finally happening after all that preparation, after all that work and all that hoping and all those sacrifices. When the raft topples, she is twitching a little bit, holding up a hand to her throat, a hand that is strangely bloody, even though she has not touched Jaime. Just from the little doll, from the dagger.
Anitha, I would like you to make an endurance roll. You can add stamina for the bonus.
Endurance, stamina.
Or resilience, actually. Either will work.
Where do I have that? Hold on.
They're both under endurance. They're both the endurance specialties.
Oh, I have no specialties there.
Okay, so this will just be your endurance then.
8.
Alright. On an 8, you feel your head tugged back as if someone has grasped into your hair and pulled hard. And you stare up to that crescent moon in the sky, and you watch as a cloud drifts over it, blotting out the light in the scene. And you feel something draining from you and down into the earth. And Jaime, as you look towards the Woods Witch, you can see the roots of her hair beginning to bleach white. The color draining from her face. And her eyes turn sharp silver as she stares to that darkened sky. Anitha, your body hurts, but you cannot move. You are as if a puppet yourself, pulled tight and down into the earth, into the place where the old magic lives.
And as she vanishes, there is a smile of gratitude and completely wholly giving herself to the goals of the coven.
Anitha, are there any final magic words that you utter into this world?
No. You hear the intake of breath that is almost like a breeze across the lake, little ripples. And towards all of her sisters that still stand there, it's a sensation of encouragement and warmth, and a reminder of duty. Duty that we all have.
And Tala, you become aware on the opposite side of the lake to you, a third point in this scene, the shapes of your other sisters, the ones that have already fallen in the task of what must be done. Standing in their lead, a tall woman, enraptured, and their voices begin to whisper too, those strange words. And in the center of the lake, there is the struggle of Adeline as you feel these hands grasp for your ankles. Jaime. You watch as the Woods Witch body crumples to the ground, that bleached hair spread a good 3 inches from the crown. And she is just like the others that you'd found, only not suspended from a tree, perhaps. The pain is still there in your body, and that feeling, that doomed feeling, still in the pit of your stomach. What do you do?
And he just stares in absolute disbelief. And as the blood and the mud underneath him merge and he writhes about, still gasping for air, we see him just stare over to the lake as he tries to fix his gaze on what is going on and who is there before he finally breathes his last.
You stare out across the lake and you see your youngest sister, Tala. Her hair cascades longer than you remember it, braided ornately with wild flowers and herbs. She's dressed in a style you've never seen her wear. Delicate fabrics wrapped around. And Millie, are there any other details to Tala's appearance that Jaime might capture in this moment?
Just for a second, the moonlight would hit the necklace around my neck, and you would see that reflection of the moon in the sky, and a tear rolling down her cheek. That expression on her face, similar to when she's felt helpless as a child, when a pet has died, when everything seemed too big for her to have power over. And she just turns her eyes up to the moon and she looks furious.
It is nearly done. There is just one last task. And Jaime, you see beside Tala a strange-looking woman. Someone that you've only seen through the fog of smoke and magic before. That sorceress who gave her name as Shiara's mother. And she's slowly stripping off her clothing. You can hear the clatter of bangles as they reach the ground, piled atop the silk. And she strides naked out towards the lake, slowly submerging. Tala, it's your turn.
I've looked over at Jaime and I can feel that energy leaving him. And I look up to the moon at those eyes that I can see now, that I can see the color of them glinting, almost reflected on the pond. And I want to push out and try and talk to her.
All right, this is going to be a will empathy test, Millie.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be a difficult test. So you need a 12 or above. 21, heroic. You feel yourself pushed and pulled from your core. and you are in a tower. Before you, a beautiful woman in a pale blue dress with emeralds and sapphires around her neck. One green eye, one blue, and the flowing locks of a true-born Targaryen.
Hello.
How? You should not be here.
Should any of us?
She is frightened, and she topples from the chair she's sat in. You can see that she's been staring into a candle which has long burnt down towards its final inch of wick. Tala, no one has ever looked at you this way before. True fear. And you feel a buzz of power as Anitha's sacrifice fuels what is in your blood.
Didn't you care for him? That you would send him to us?
I had hoped that his station would improve, but he's just a bastard.
I can see my eyes go cold at that. Oh, really? Is that all he is? This will happen. And I'd rather he didn't die. If it's all the same to you.
I am not the one killing him. That's you.
I know.
And her hand has snaked under her desk, and she has pulled a blade that has been secreted beneath that, and she throws this at you. And you watch as this silver spike cascades and tumbles in slow motion, a blur of light behind it towards you. Tala, you need to make a decision. If you stay, you will be struck. If you leave, you might not be able to return. And time is almost run out. Because Adeline is drowning. Jaime is dying. And whatever is in that lake is about to be reborn.
I want to try and deflect it somehow. If there's any way.
Okay, so this will be, I'm going to say this is going to be an agility dodge for you. But, no, sorry, let's make this a will dodge. We'll use your will because we're in Dream Magic World and everything here uses will. So it'll be a will dodge. Dodge is under agility.
I'd like to use, Can I use more than one crit?
You can use as many as you like. So you can use both.
They're keep dice, right?
Correct. They're keep dice. They will increase your will rank, essentially, for this test.
Let's just go for one for now.
Right.
So we'll dodge.
Correct. Another 21, another heroic success. All right. So this blade is tumbling before you, and you tap into the will in your body. And how do you deflect it, Millie? Describe it for me. This is your dream, and you have the power here.
It's like the smoke that has been billowing in the periphery of my vision just kind of gently tumbles it and redirects it towards her. It spins it back almost as if she'd thrown it at herself.
And you watch as the blade comes tumbling back towards this woman, but instead of striking her, it strikes a mist, like sea spray. And you are ejected from this tower. Adeline, I'd like you to make an agility balance check, please.
Cool. Sure, why not? I'm going to use one of my crits for that one as well.
Perfect.
So that's an extra bonus. Okay. Oh, open body water. Good friend.
Yep, we love water.
Good.
Nothing bad ever happens.
Nothing. Nope. 18.
You kick out feeling these things grabbing onto you, and you still have this raft in hand where you try to retain yourself on it. And you kick away, and you are able to use this raft to at least surface. Your arms kind of over it, so your head is no longer below the water. It's confusing. The world was upside down for a moment. Your sinuses burn where the water was inhaled towards your lungs. And a detail I will add to this scene is Allegra, as you rest in Belsey Castle, you see all of it. You stand beside the lake with a shadowy presence behind you. But no matter how hard you scream, no matter how hard you attempt to do anything, you are stuck, watching, waiting. Soon, there will be dead to collect. All right, we are near the end of the session, so what I would like to do is similar to what we did for the Siege of Tyrush, whereby you can all describe for me your last action within this scene. We'll make a final roll for each of you, and we will play out that detail, and then we will be back next week for the finale to see what comes of all this chaos and magic. We are going to begin with Jaime, who would be next in my order.
Jaime's warm, still body just lies in the mud. Proper Game of Thrones death. Just mud. It's kind of steely, cold, one purple, one green eye still fixed on the lake.
Perfect. And that brings us to Adeline.
I think that quick plunge into water knocked her into clarity. She realizes she's in the water. It's this feeling that's not so foreign, especially like that happened recently of almost drowning, trying to escape famine's hold. And she instinctively pulls herself up and realizes this boat is next to her. It's her only way. She pulls herself in and just doesn't have the energy necessarily to get up and just coughing on her side, just falls, collapses on her back and just looks toward the sky.
Okay, would you like to make an endurance stamina test to see if you can find any strength reserves, or would you like to make a willpower test to attempt to defy the magic that is about to occur? You're muted, Shauna.
It would have to be the stamina, because she barely believes in the gods, and I don't think she believes that there's magic happening here, and it's... She was just relying on herself to get through this. So stamina. I'll use the other one because I am scared of the water. I am. Yep. I have been frightened by the water enough. That.
Yeah, the water's not a good time for you.
No, it's definitely not a good time. 11.
11. On an 11, you can keep yourself gripped to this raft. And the water is cold and icy. But as your legs kick out to kind of assist your balance, you don't feel any more of those grasping hands. Instead, on the other side of this raft, you see a hand come from the water, fingers splayed and grasping, as something else tries to join you on this raft. Behind you, the priestess has disappeared in the waters. The sorceress vanished beneath the lake's waters. And Tala, it's your turn for a final action.
Can I sense Jaime's blood in the same way that I can sense that smell from the eyes above us? I can sense that.
Except instead of mead, it's wine and honey, I suspect.
Mm-hmm. I get a little blip of that shared dream with Astor, of that star carved into my palm and the blood from the ground soaking up into it. And in that kind of childlike way of somebody who doesn't understand, a little girl who doesn't understand what death is or why it should matter. The blood was out and it should just go back in. I want to see what I can do. I want him back. I'm not going to let him go.
Okay, so this is going to be two things. Firstly, it's going to be an heroic willpower test. But secondly, it will be up to Sam as to whether or not Jaime will answer the summoning.
Of course. Okay. So just plain willpower?
Yes, just plain willpower, and you need at least a 21.
Okay. I'm going to use my other keep dice for that.
I will also remind you, if you have a fortune fate point, I forget what they're called in the system, you can check out those benefits on the cheat sheet. But this will be burn type situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's... let me have a look.
It used to be on page 4, but I don't think it's on page 4 anymore.
There's a burn. Convert all bonus dice to test dice. Yeah. Add +5. Okay. Do I have to decide before I roll?
Yes.
I want to use that? Oh. Yes. Then yes.
Alright. So once a fate destiny point is burnt, you do not get it back. You cannot use it for anything else. It is gone. This is essentially reaching out for the gods to grant you a miracle.
Okay.
Right. This will be a +5.
So that's a +5.
Roll it, and then we'll add.
Okay.
So that will be a success with a 25. You attempt to push that blood back into the body. You will it to be so. But you only have that sort of power in the dream world. The blood is still there in the mud. But you call for your brother. What do you call out to Jaime, Tala?
Don't leave me here. I don't know what to do. You're supposed to show me.
Sam. Is there any answer from Jaime? Okay. And on that moonlit lakeshore, Allegra, you watch Tala, who unknowns to herself has waded into the lake towards her fallen brother and is scrambling in the mud, trying to push blood back into his lifeless form. Behind her, you watch as the priestess disappears beneath the water, and on the surface, the raft, a figure scrambles out, joining Adeline. Both of them tied and floating. You notice the dark form of Della Gaunt emerge, her black hair tangled with weeds. At least, that's who this appears to be. Allegra, you have one final action, and then we will be wrapping today.
Oh, okay. So you said in this dream she's kind of frozen, right? She can't move.
That's how you felt right up until this point. It's one of those, someone's chasing after you, your legs become lead and you can't move. You tried to scream and your voice is gone. It's been that frustration and that anxiety feeling this entire time. And forever, that presence behind you, but you can't turn to see who it is. You already know. You've been around this before.
Oh, I know who that is, Charlie. Thanks. Yeah. I think Allegra stood there and she wants nothing more than her body to move. She wants nothing more to go to her brother. She wants nothing more to go to the middle of that lake and throttle the life out of the people that have taken so much from her. She wants to grab Tala and take her, but she can't will herself to move. It's the dream state where your legs don't obey you. They feel like jelly beneath you. And she screams and she cries as she watches Jaime bleed out. And she cries of how they left each other. And as she feels a part of herself grow cold, she watches him die. And part of her can't process that. Jaime was her best friend, her brother, should have been her twin. And she collapses. And I think she just mutters to herself quietly as she kind of rocks in place. How many?
And we pan out of Allegra in a cot in Belsey Castle, feverishly muttering to herself, how many? And across the room, in a similar bed, her daughter Danella echoes the question, how many? And that is where we will end today's episode. Lydia, if you're still here, come back in. Let's say hello. Let's say goodbye. I would like to begin with Lydia, who is my champion, spooky, witchy friend. Where can we find you and all of that good stuff?
So I will say that was Charlie's idea before anyone comes and runs into my DMs with exactly that. So I'm not entirely sure why I end up as the person everyone comes to. Hey, do you want to betray the party? Hey, do you want to kill this person? But here we are, and I am accepting my fate in contrast to Tarla. So yeah, hi, I'm Lydia. I'm half-arsed hermit. I make people sad on the internet, apparently. And I will do that again in a few hours. on Kobold Press with Lessons in Deep Magic. We have another episode coming up at 8 p.m. EST. So tune on in where we're in the Shadow Realm, and our good Bard Boy has just had a really hard time. We have someone guesting today as well, so if you want to find out who that is from the Chaos Chorus, do stop by. You can also find me on Fridays on Apocalypse World Diesel Punks right here on Encounter Roleplay at 3 p.m. EST. And there's a special one-shot coming up on Kobold Press on Tuesday, which is a little dungeon crawl GM'd by Colin. We're going to have fun. I'm going to be a kobold because Kobold Press and I'm very creative. Also 8 p.m. EST. Everything else, just find me on Twitter or on Encounter Roleplay where I live now. Thanks for having me.
We all live here now. I'm gonna spill the beans a little bit. I'm gonna drop on down to Susanna Grace, who will be next season's Game of Thrones GM. That's right, I'm abandoning the hot seat, and someone else can be responsible. Susie, where can we find you, your favorite bits, and all of that good stuff as we head towards the finale next week?
Ooh, hashtag fuck Della, honestly, Jesus. See, knew she was bad from the start. No good. Gaunts were probably... Can't believe I'm going to say this. The Gaunts were probably right to kill her, is all I'm gonna... I'll never repeat it, but the Gaunts were right on one thing. But yeah, I'm super hyped for the finale next week. Can't wait to see how my heart gets broken even more. Thank you, Sam and Charlie, you monsters. But yeah, GM next season for Game of Thrones. We're excited. Anyway, Susie, find me on the internet, Susanna Grace, streaming stuff. I do video games, do art streams, do tabletop RPGs, and then you can find me here tomorrow for Secrets of Pendragon, where I'm probably going to go to jail for a long time because I did assault like 5 town guards last week and did get stabbed till I had 1 HP left. So I'm not dead, but probably going to jail for a while. So that's at 2 p.m. tomorrow Eastern, which is 7 UK. And then Sam can do the Black Cats bit, but you should go follow our sister campaign After the Fire.
And let's hop on over to Sam, who I ambushed in a cruel and unusual way today. Hi, Sam.
That was epic. I don't know what everyone's worried about. That was such a fucking Game of Thrones death. It was amazing. That was so fun. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what other reaction you want apart from that. That was so cool.
I'm good with that reaction. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. The magic in this campaign has been a little bit more overt than normal Game of Thrones, but leaning into what we see from the Red Priestesses and some of the things that are hinted to in other parts.
Yeah, that was really fun to see. And when Anitha just properly just sank into the ground, it's like, okay then, fuck. We're not playing around. That was awesome. And beautifully poetic that he did finally get to see where Tala was, but do absolutely fucking nothing to be able to save her. It was brilliant. It was.
I can't believe he left me on red. It's just so rude.
Yeah, I know. It was, it was Arya at the Twins. It was like all those kind of near miss stuff. It was awesome. Really, really awesome. And somehow accidentally poetic with him. I had no fucking idea, but the dream and him dying and stabbing himself with the moon and all the stuff. That was very, very, very cool. When it all kind of coalesces like that, even when you don't quite realize it kind of consciously, that was really, really fun. So yeah, that was a 2. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Apart from that, you can see my dead corpse around the internet at RPG Webby. Otherwise, I work for Modifius on the day. So as Charlie was saying, all the sponsored stuff that we do here on the channel includes loads of cool games like Star Trek Adventures, Dishonored is new, Klingon Core Rulebook is coming very soon, the final version of that. Other stuff, Dune is coming up, Fallout 2D20 is coming up, Acton Cthulhu is coming up. We've got a bumper bonanza of releases in the next year, basically. So check that out around the internet. You'll be able to find us if you just search Modifius. And then I'm also one part of Black Cats, getting along with Susie and James, friends of the channel. And then we stream over on twitch.tv/follow Black Cats. And you can find us around the internet as well at follow Black Cats on Twitter and blackcatsgaming.com and Black Cats Gaming on Facebook. We're in layout for the Spy Game, our first publication. And you can grab your late pledges just for the last few days, I think. So check it out if you want to grab the book as soon as it's ready. That's basically me. The sister campaign to this, After the Fire, is on our channel on a Thursday, 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're on a mid-season break at the moment. It's a long 4th season. We've had a good stint for a while. We're taking a bit of a break, obviously, to concentrate on the Spy Game for a bit. Just to nudge it over the line, and then we'll be back with more juicy fruits as ever on the Thursday. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, get those tinfoil hat readies. Now, Nuno, I know that you need to dash off any second because you've got another game to get to. So let's hear from you, and then feel free to go, and we'll raid over to Chromatic Chimera in a moment.
All right. Well, this was a very juicy episode. I don't know how to react to any of this, but I do have to admit that the last scene and the death were epic. So I don't know. I don't know, Sam. What's happening next week? I'm curious. Well, let's see. As for myself, I'm Nuno. You can find me online at jnunotex. That's TEX. And in 16 minutes exactly, we're on the Chromatic Chimera Twitch channel playing Quest. Much more lighthearted than this. If you like something which is more heroic or even, dare I say, romantic, then hop on over and you can see us play games with a bunch of cool people. Anyway, 16 minutes. Apart from that, that's it. I'm eager for the finale next week because what the fuck's gonna happen? At this moment, only Astor doesn't know what the fuck is happening. Even Allegra knows, and he's just like, this is well. We're sleeping here. We're good guests. Whoops. Anyway, see you next week.
Hey, Auntie Bywater's favorite nephew brought her ahead in an apple crate. That was very exciting for her today. All right, take care. Go and get ready. Take a break, have a stretch, hydrate, and all of that good stuff. And we'll be coming over there in a few minutes. Let's hop on over to Shauna. I want to give another shout out to Shauna, who does the wonderful character art you can see on screen. We get questions and mentions about it all the time. Please do go and check out the wonderful Shauna. She is a star to work with and does a variety of styles and things, but she's also a star to play with. How are you doing? How is Adeline doing?
Adeline is not great. I'm doing fine. To be honest, I'm usually on the other side of that spooky magic. It's interesting to be on the other side of it, but it's fun. I love it. I love scary stuff, and I love the spooky dreams. And poor Jaime. Oh. But yeah, wonderful time. I'm gonna be very sad that it's the last one for a while. The finale's next week, but catch me this week on Sword of Kalis, the Klingon campaign on this channel on Thursdays, where we souped up our bird of prey, and we're probably gonna have a ship fight next time. I'm very excited for it. And speaking of dark magic, it's gonna be the Rapscallion Black Flag finale on Wandering DM, where listen, I just played Della and I almost sacrificed my crew to a demon, so that stuff goes about as well as can be expected. Just got quite the whole dig out of. There's certain things you just can't say sorry to. And on tomorrow, it's Cobalt
That's
Press
house
on,
words, isn't it? There's just some things you can't say sorry. That sounds like a house words. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Tuesday.
But yeah, tomorrow. I'll be on that one shot on Cobalt Press, the one last crawl, where I am playing just a slightly out of it old tabaxi lady with chaos magic. There's nothing bad that could go wrong. Just stay a good distance away from the cat.
Top tips. But never stay a good distance away from Millie, because she is beloved, and I'm so happy you're back. Thank you so much for those beautiful dream sequences. They were everything I wanted and more.
Yay! I was like, should I send this really, really dark? No, just a little dark. dark, just a little bit. It's really, really good to be back. I've missed you all so much. And what the fuck, Jaime? Spend all of this and just... Oh, I'm still really glad that I burned that destiny point, though, because it's totally what Tyler would have done. And it makes it just so much more poetic. And she is going to be angry now. But holy shit, those rolls. Tyler's interesting now. Huh. Mildly terrified to play her next week, I'll be honest, because she's a cross little witchy. Let's see what happens. But before that, I will be back here tomorrow night for Secrets of Pendragon, playing Lady Alice Hornwright, who's very confused and also very cross with somebody in the sky. This is a running theme now. Yeah, just like sky people, can't trust them at all. They're all horrid. And I'm not streaming at the moment because life's doing a weird. But hey, you might hear me in a game or something at the end of this month that's hitting early access, because apparently I'm like the DM of Baldur's Gate 3 or something, which is kind of weird. That's the thing that's happened since we last played together. What is my life? But apart from that, I can't wait to come back. I've missed you all loads.
We have missed you so much. Please do go and check out the wonderful Baldur's Gate 3. I couldn't imagine anyone better to undertake that adventure with than the wonderful Millie. I'm sure she only gives you good guidance.
Tonight goes to show I make really good decisions.
Yeah, I'm feeling serious fire and blood energy from Tala now.
Yeah, she's like, hey, massive powerful witch in the sky, let's pick a fight with her.
Yeah, I'm sure Shiera isn't going to take that personally. I'm sure there will be no comeuppance.
Everything's going to be fine.
About this all.
Yeah, it's all going to be fine. It's
going to be fine. I think that's the motto. All right. Really quickly going to run down the rest of the week. So tomorrow, as mentioned, we've got Secrets of Pendragon. Then we'd like you to hop on over to Kobold Press at 8 p.m. for One Last Crawl, our Dungeon Crawl one-shot special over there. On Wednesday, we have One-Shot Wednesdays, which this week will be Worldwide Wrestling. And there's a mystery wrestler involved. What? That will be exciting. That's going to be 3 till 6. And that is followed up by our Cult, Divinity Lost, where we have a special... No, Sam, it's not you. No, you haven't forgotten. You can put the spandex away, Sam. That's followed spandex. I hope that doesn't come up in Cult Divinity Lost. We've had a lot of other things come up. It is our adult horror show here on the channel. Please do check the caution warnings. But if you're ready to be slightly uncomfortable in the best of ways, please do join us. That is from 6 until 9 on Wednesday. Then Thursday is a double bill this week. We rarely have a double bill, but we do this week. From 3 to 6, we'll be playing Legends of Adeline, which is a really cool Kickstarter that's going on at the moment. It's a Celtic-inspired world that uses cards as the playing tools of choice. I'm super excited to play that. That will be followed up by Star Trek Adventures, Sword of Kalis. Kapla! Every time. That's what I'm going to do. That is 6 till 9. I can't wait to see Buster, Raven, and the gang in action. If you want to see some really cool Klingon makeup, come and check that out. Buster does an incredible job, as do the rest of the cast. That is followed on Friday, finally, by our favorite triple bill of Apocalypse World, Diesel Punks, followed by Urban Shadows, Eclipse, and Wild and Chaotic, which is our Zweihander Pirates campaign. There was a death in that this week, last week, whatever week we're on. But hopefully it's not forever, because Kit was my favorite. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler because you haven't seen it yet. If you want to catch up with any of our shows, you can find them all on YouTube. You can also check out our Patreon, where you can support the cast. 100% of Patreon goes to paying the cast, along with 50% of all live donations. Thank you so much to Pope and our gift subs and our resubs today. You are all stars. And I think that is about all I have to mention. Beyond, please do join the Chaos Chorus on Discord. I am posting some casting calls this week for our new season. And that is the first place you will be able to find them. So please do come and hang out with us there. We chit chat about all these shows, share the tinfoil, the juicy fruits, and more. That's it. That's the Chaos Chorus. I steal from other people because juicy fruits and tinfoil are wonderful. So that is all for now from me. We'll see you tomorrow. But don't forget, 8 p.m. tonight, Kobold Press for Lessons in Deep Magic. Keep rolling dice. We'll see you soon.